I got to thinking, and I pulled some slides together actually from some other things I've done, and we'll just have audio-visual problems here when the thing doesn't work. So what causes pain in the first place? What happens when you, for instance, you trip on a curb, you slip in the ice, you have an instance happen where you get a pain in the air. So let's say we get hip pain, but later that day it's low back pain. And the next morning it's turned, the whole spine, the whole back hurts. And you end up 2 days later with shoulder pain. And you're like, I didn't do anything to my shoulder. How did all of that happen? Well, I've got to take you into a little more of a technical world, into some of the stuff I teach when I'm at the seminars. So I'll try to pull some of these terms out and make them more understandable to the layperson in there. So we have this thing called mechanoreceptors. Mechanoreceptors are mechanical receptors. They tell the joint where it is in space, how much pressure is on it, how much weight it's dealing with. And when they're working correctly, they send a normal signal to this thing called a neuromuscular control unit, part of your brain that tells it how to coordinate motion. And it gets proper feedback. You get a normal response. You move correctly. When I say move correctly, when you think of lifting that arm, your brain automatically goes into firing the stability muscles first, then the primary mover that brings that muscle into play, and the synergist, the muscles that work with it. And at the same time, it has to take the antagonist muscles and turn them off so that this motion all occurs nice and smooth. When that works right, you coordinate properly, you get the right feedback, and you have no problems. It works just like it's supposed to. Punjabi did this work, by the way. He happens to be a PhD research with Harvard Medical. He's kind of good at this kind of research. When you injure those receptors, though, you get a corrupted signal, and that feedback doesn't work right. So that whole neuromuscular control unit now is getting crappy information. That corrupts your response. In coordinated motion, it doesn't even get the right feedback back, and now we have problems. This gives higher stresses, strains, ligaments get injured, mechanoreceptors themselves, muscles get injured. We can get fatigue. This is why you get tired when you're having trouble like this. And you get a higher facet load, turns into inflammation, turns into chronic pain. So what do we do about it? Yes, we can adjust it. And when we do an adjustment, we can send a whole bunch of force through there, move that bone about 1.1 millimeters. But the problem with this type of adjusting is we have a tensile force. This is the pressure we put before we adjust. And then we have an impact force. Can we remove that tensile force so we don't do as much damage? And yes, we can. That's the technique I use, activator. And do a one-to-one. I'll tell you how that crazy contraption got done in Sweden so we can measure the motion. But we send about 1/5, 1/4, 1/5 of pressure, and we still move the bone the same amount. The big thing is that instrument consistently moves that bone through the correct sine wave, the way that that joint is supposed to move. So it corrects that neuromuscular control unit, so it restores that motion to where it's supposed to be. Do a one-to-one for questions and comments.
Good job.